Going to wake people up to the criminal organization known as the Federal Reserve?
Well, I'm sick of getting shit on, so I came out here to protest the quantitative easing, or like I want to call it, the diarrhea of fiat currency.
Helping to spread the word about the need to end the Fed, restore sound money, and restore the power of the purse.
I'm out here today because I want to make sure that citizens understand what's going on with the Federal Reserve. They understand that when Congress asked the Federal Reserve where the money was going and who to and how much, the Federal Reserve wouldn't tell them.
I'm out here also because I'm really mad about the way our government has been hijacked by corporations and by private banks. I'm here to express my concern and to tell the people on the street that there's a better way of us existing in the world and trading and doing business with each other.
What's wrong with the Federal Reserve Bank?
Well, it's not federal, it's not a reserve, and it's not a bank for starters.
Well, the Federal Reserve is actually a private institution. They say federal, but it's not. They don't have any congressional oversight. They don't answer to anybody.
I believe, one, the Federal Reserve System is unconstitutional. Under the Constitution, only Congress is given the ability to coin money and regulate the value of it. They don't have the ability to sub that out to a central bank. The other part is that the Federal Reserve System isn't really federal. They call it quasi-federal if you go to their website. But it's owned by private bankers essentially. They're unaccountable. They've never been audited. They're unaccountable to the president. They're unaccountable to Congress. They make major decisions that affect the value of our currency and our economy as a whole with absolutely no overview.
So where do you see, because of inflation, prices going in the next 10 years?
Prices are going to go up, and they're going to go up a lot more than we've seen before in history because this is an unprecedented level of quantitative easing, or as I call it, printing money.
So what do you propose to do if we did end the Fed? What would replace it?
According to the Constitution, the U.S. government is supposed to coin money out of precious metals like gold and silver. So it would seem to me that if we were going to end the Federal Reserve, the U.S. government should go back to coining money out of material with real value that you can't create out of thin air.
So do you see it ending anytime in your lifetime?
Well, it's going to end one way or the other, like Ron Paul says. It's either going to happen on its, through common sense, or it's just going to basically implode and self-destruct, and then we'll be in worse shape.
Well, thanks to the 3 or 4 recent bailouts, we may face hyperinflation. Let's hope it doesn't happen. But nevertheless, if most of the people who be watching this probably go to the grocery store to buy a bag of groceries, well, it used to be $10 a few years ago is now $25 to $30, and it's going to get worse because of all of the money that's simply printed up by the Fed. And recently, right 2 days after the election, the Open Market Committee meets. It's like, this should be front page news. This was sort of like after they heard about the scores of the basketball games, and they just floated another $600 billion into the economy. And you say, well, whose idea was this? And where'd the money come from? Money comes from nowhere. It's just created out of thin air. Unfortunately, the taxpayers, every American faces it through inflation. Inflation is a tax, although it's sort of a hidden tax.
Okay, here with Pasha Roberts, the director of Silver Circle Movie. And what do you propose we do if all these protesters out here today got what they wanted and the Fed ended?
I think the most interesting scenario is alternative currencies, competing currencies working against each other, so that some of them backed by gold, some of them backed by just as fiat, and let people work it out. Most periods of history and most countries have had multiple currencies floating around, and this is an interesting way to do it. And then, if one currency proves to be corrupt, kind of like our dollar, and they do QE14 on it, then people can migrate over to the other currency. At this point, it's illegal because of legal tender laws.